As I promised in the past video regarding VALKYRIE products, you most likely didn't expect me to cover their case, right? So right here we have VALKYRIE VK02, and comparing it to Computex, what I saw over there, because it had loads of anime plexiglass here over, I don't know, something like that. This clean design is really appealing, I do have to admit, and I'm really digging the whole chassis in general, but the clean design, the clean looks, even though the guys at the booth told me that that's just for the show, and how did they say? Yeah, I think it was something custom for something like that, right? But the clean look really does look outstanding, and we have loads of stuff to go through with this case, but the most important is you can see the screen right here on the front, right? It has 1280 x 800 resolution, and as you can see as well, you can place AIDA64 Sensor Panel on the front. Of course, this is not my sensor panel because it takes loads of time to create one. If you go with more details, of course, but in general you can always register on AIDA64 forum and download some templates or whatever other guys are doing, and just kind of slightly adjust it, edit it to your own liking, and here we go. So before we go into details regarding the screen, regarding the replacement of the screen in terms of swapping the panels, let's go with some other details. But the most cool thing, and I mean, this case is packed. Let's be honest, this case is packed. First of all, we have this bracket at the back, which is reversible, so you can untie 4 screws, put it in vertical position, and you have a vertical GPU. Of course, you do need to buy separately a PCI Gen 4 riser, but then again, we had some similar case as this one in terms of the vertical and horizontal placement of the GPU, and you also had to buy a PCI Gen 4 riser. So in these terms, that's okay. The only thing, as I mentioned in that review, you do have to place your GPU on the bracket outside of the case. Beneath it, you have a possibility to place 2 120mm fans here on the power supply shroud, but definitely not if you're going in vertical position, and that might be a bit of a downside, but regardless of that. And the cool thing, one more cool thing about this power supply shroud is that you have an opening here for cables opening the chassis in general. We have 2 thumb screws, one on each side, one on tempered glass side and on the back side steel panel, and then you just have 3 more pegs which are additionally holding the tempered glass and steel panel, and the top panel is only on pegs, so you just have to pop it out. The front panel is on crocodile clips, and since I'm talking about removing panels, the screen, you just have to tilt it upwards and you're removing it from its holders, and you have an opening at the back to connect USB Type-C to USB Type-A, which connects to the motherboard, and HDMI, mini HDMI to HDMI. This is really cool because we have flat cables for both, and they're really long, and you can really push them through the whole chassis here at the back, connect the HDMI directly to the GPU and the USB Type-A directly to the motherboard. You have opening here in the expansion slot, so you can really nicely reroute the cable and you don't have to worry about anything. The cable is basically only seen at the back. Just one more thing that I have to mention about the power supply shroud. So even though it looks like, compared to other cases, right, quite smaller, you have quite enough space to reorganize the cables here, and you have loads of space here at the back. Now, why do you have 3+ centimeters of space? Because it supports back connect. But I think this is the first case that I'm seeing here in general in reviews that actually has covers for back connect openings. So if you're going with the regular motherboard and you don't want to have those holes, you have covers on the back connect openings, so you basically leave them there. But if you want to go with a back connect motherboard, you just untie 2 screws for each panel that closes the back connect opening, and you get access to it. I know it's extra work for you guys that want to go with back connect, but it's also a cool thing because I haven't seen any brand do such things. So yeah, that kind of goes into that segment. Now when we go into more details, right, so we have CPU cooler height limit at 185 millimeters. Then we have video card length limited at 455, and for the power supply 220. It supports ATX, MITX and micro ITX, And the reason you can't squeeze in the E80X motherboard is because it will cover the rubber grommet for the 24-pin cable, and that kind of stops it right there. Talking about storage, you have a possibility to place up to 3 3.5-inch hard drives or 6 2.5-inch SSDs. Now, when we discussed the 10.1-inch LCD screen, it's not just a regular LCD screen that you have on cases that you place it over there. It actually is a touch screen, so it goes into quite interesting segment where you have a screen on the front of the case where you could game. Maybe if you have that kind of idea to do such thing, you could do that. But you have a possibility to have some screen, additional screen to your computer where you could actually, you don't have to use your mouse. You can just simply do anything you want with your fingers. So 10.1-inch LCD touchscreen, which can be a secondary screen, or you can download their new version of MidCool software, which gives you an option to do, I think, 4 or 5 presets. Now, the cool thing about this screen is that if you don't want to have it on your PC, but you want to have it beneath your or somewhere around your monitor, you can take it off the chassis, place the other panel on, and you have actually a backstand that gives you an option to have it placed normally on the table. The only downside of all of this isn't the LCD screen, isn't the touch, isn't nothing, literally nothing. The only downside is that the replacement panel on the front is solid. There is no mesh, there is no opening, it's fully solid. But let's be honest, this whole panel on the front, even though we have smaller holes, it still can create nice airflow, and we're talking additional airflow from the side, so you're not limited that much from the front because you can create additional airflow if needed from the side. Now let's discuss cooling. We have a rear possibility to place 140 fan or 120 radiator. At the top we have a possibility to place 360 or 420 radiator, on front 420 and on the side 420. Of course, you can go with 360 as well, which is outstanding. Now, when we're talking about the fans, the possibility is at the rear 120 or 140. On the top, 3 120 or 3 140. On the front, 3 120 or 3 140. On the side as well. And on the power supply shroud, you can go with 2 120 or 1 140. And in addition to that, you can go with 120 or 140 here in front of the power supply shroud. So basically, you can go up with 13 fans altogether, including 3 on front, 3 on the side, 3 on top, 2 at the power supply shroud and 1 in front of the power supply shroud and 1 at the rear. So for instance, if you go with a 360 water cooling on the top, you can go with 3 140mm fans can be installed on the front panel, 3 140 on the side panel, 1 140 at the rear, 1 140, well, the bottom part is totally irrelevant. When you're installing 420 at the top, you can go with 2 140 fans on the front panel, 3 140 on the side, 1 140 at the back, and standard whatever you want to do in the power supply shroud, which really doesn't matter. So on the front, except for this grill, you have this RGB line, which looks quite nice. It's you have addressable RGB cable running through the back, and you can just simply connect it to everything else. And at the back we have loads of space. I mean, storage space quite enough, I do have to say. And you have loads of space for cable management. The top plate here that holds the radiator can be nicely removed, so you can basically place your radiator here at the top from the outside. The same thing goes for the front, and the side panel is actually fixed, but it really doesn't matter. The only difference, the side panel, you have this bottom part that can be removed, so it's up to you here to play around a bit. Now it's time for the benchmarks. As you've noticed, I'm using here their new VALKYRIE V360 Lite in white version. You have it also in black, as you already know, and the case comes also in black. So you have that option as well. And the benchmarks, when we're talking about AIDA64 Extreme Edition System Stability Test and going head to head with AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D, V360 Lite on the CPU cooled it down to 84 degrees, clock speed 4825, and the GPU was 52, but it's RX 7700 XT, so it doesn't heat up that much. The cool thing in this case and with this AIO, the idle temperature was 37.2 Celsius degrees. Now, when we go to Cinebench, and this is quite interesting, I do have to say, thermals were from 76 to 77, they varied up and down. 4975 clock speed, which was only once, and everything else was 5000, and the last two were 5025. And now for the Cinebench scores, started at 26,396, it ended at 26,400, but it was somewhere between 300 and 400, even surpassing 400 once. So basically, I would say 26,360, something like that, which is outstanding, I do have to say. What I did here, and I did it a bit differently because the side panel, if you don't have any fans, really doesn't look that impressive. I mean, it's just a side panel with grills, so you can hook up your fans. So I placed the fans on the side, and the cooling was great. The cooling was really great, because this is what I actually wanted to do that on purpose. First, to cover up the grills that hold the fans, and secondly, to test out the airflow because of this front panel and the blockage on top because of the LCD screen. So if you add fans on the front and you have on the side, you basically have a great airflow, so the case and the components won't burn inside, even in vertical position of the GPU and everything else all together, so you don't have to worry about it. And the case is really big. I mean, not full tower big, but it is big. It's bigger than your standard midi tower chassis, and I mean, you can place, not at the same time, 3 420mm radiators, which is great. So if you want to go with something that is huge capacity for cooling, but you still want to have an outstanding airflow, I mean, this case really brings it all together in some sort of a different and unexpected way, I do have to admit. Because first of all, we have a 10.1 inch touchscreen on front, which you could go with AIDA64 sensor panels, or you can go with their presets at mid-cool, their software. Maybe I would just honestly suggest that you go with AIDA64 because their software works as well when we're talking about that, but it's fixed. You can't change anything, literally anything. You can just maybe add some stuff, but I really do prefer AIDA64 sensor panels because it gives you options, and that's it. So that's quite simple and straightforward for you guys that like to tweak and do all the other stuff when we're talking about, I don't know, adjusting everything to your personal preferences. But when we're talking about the chassis, the final finish in general, when we're talking about no dents, no problems, everything is nicely done, and the performance is there. I'm loving the case, and since I gave the AIO performance badge, I can't give it for this case because, well, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to give it a PC Crazy approved badge because it does deserve an approved badge, specifically because of the combination of the LCD integrated in the chassis. I know Jonesbot did that as well, and I do have to mention that, but to have such loads of capacity for radiators, fans in general, and a great cooling capacity as well, that's really something else. So guys, thumbs up to VALKYRIE for this chassis, and looking forward to other products, which of course you can expect more, and you'll see a build with the black version coming in a couple of days, maybe 2 weeks tops, but that's it. So guys, thank you for watching. I'll place the links in the description for VALKYRIE products, and you can go to their web shop, or you can check out your local retailers because they've been spreading throughout Europe everywhere, so maybe you have access to somewhere else. And that's basically it, guys. Thanks for watching, thanks for sticking by till the end of this video. If you liked it and if it helped you choose your new case, because it has a black and white version with the LCD screen, you can do so, and just do a small meaningful thing to me. Subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for future content, and I'll see you quite shortly. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.